How have you been?
I've been great.
You probably got tits, bitch.
Bitch, the estrogen has been kicking in. The only thing that hasn't broken down is these fucking arms. Everything else in my body looks good.
Oh, honey.
Girl, you try that. Look like the real thing.
So, I got some good news to tell you.
What?
This year, Sean Baker's latest film won the Golden Palm at Cannes. Anora is a film about an Uzbek-American dancer from Brighton Beach who elopes with the son of a Russian oligarch. The oligarch's family tracks the couple, threatening to annul the marriage. Greta Gerwig, who was the chair of the Cannes jury this year, praised the film effusively.
Particular film, this incredibly human and humane film that captured our hearts, let us laugh, make us hope beyond hope, and then broke our hearts and never lost sight of the truth. The Palme d'Or goes to Anora.
Sean Baker's films have focused on marginalized and largely ignored communities, from sex workers to immigrants to single mothers to drug users, Americans who are impoverished, overlooked, and pushed into the shadows. There's been overlap with Sean Baker and the so-called mumblecore movement. Films which use micro-budgets and take advantage of the cheaper film and audio technology we have now to just make movies, without focusing too much on studios, which give out big budgets to create films that meet their specifications. Tonight we're talking about a film that very much lives in that overlap. As part of our Queer Cinema Spectacular, month of LGBTQ movies, we're talking about Sean Baker's 2015 film, Tangerine. The film was produced on a micro-budget from Mark and Jay Duplass. They had seen Sean Baker's 2008 drama, Prince of Broadway, which followed an immigrant hustler from Ghana who sold brand knockoffs on the streets of New York City.
So I called up Mark and I said, I think I'm ready to make another micro-budget. And he said, well, what's your idea? And I said, Santa Monica and Highland. And he knows LA, he lives in LA, and that's all I had to say. And he's like, green light.
And thought he'd be perfect for their film production company, Duplass Brothers Productions. Drizzly gave out small budgets to mumblecore and independent filmmakers. Sean Baker pitched them on wanting to make a project focusing on Santa Monica and Highland, a now gentrified part of Hollywood that was home to a lot of sex workers, LGBTQ people, and it was rarely shown on film. Tangerine covers this area at a time right before all the businesses were bought up and gentrified, and people were pushed from the area. Most notably, the film features Donut Time, an iconic donut shop on Santa Monica that ended up closing and being bought by Danny Trejo just 2 years later.
It's been 4 years and a lot has changed. We were shooting at a time where this area was becoming gentrified. Now it's pretty much gentrified altogether. The whole film really builds up to this climactic confrontation that takes place with our entire ensemble cast at what was once Donut Time and now is actually owned by Danny Trejo, and he's made it into Trejo's Coffee and Donuts.
Sean Baker wanted real stories and searched out people who really hung out in the area. Finding one of his stars, Maya Taylor, an aspiring transgender actress at the LGBTQ Center. They began regular meeting with Maya and getting immersed in her world. She brought many of her friends to meet with them, telling the writing team stories about their real lives on the streets. The other standout star of the film, Katana Kiki Rodriguez, was Maya's roommate. It was Kiki who was able to pitch an idea to Sean that he and his writer Chris eventually ran with.
So I presented them with three very thin ideas. I said, this is all I have. I think that it has to take place on one day because of our budget. We don't want any wardrobe changes. It'll be easier for us. on our budget to have it take place in one day. 2, I feel that there should be somebody looking for somebody else, maybe, or 2 people trying to find each other. I don't know the genre. Maybe it's a love story. Maybe it's a thriller. I don't know, but I just have, I'm seeing 2 people looking for each other. And then, and the third idea, I want everybody, my ensemble cast, to converge in some sort of climactic confrontation at donut time, because donut time is such a landmark. And I wanted to, and about a week later, Kiki called me and she goes, well, I have an idea. If you want 2 people looking for each other or 2 people coming together. And then she told me the story about the mission to find the quote unquote fish, or the cisgender woman who was part of the affair with her boyfriend. And the minute I heard it, well, Chris and I heard it, we were just, our jaws were dropped, and we thought, oh, wow, that's dramatic. And that takes our characters on a journey. And it's very layered.
One of the most known things about the film is that Sean decided to try a novel style of filmmaking. Although all the sound was recorded on normal audio recording equipment, the visuals of the film were shot on 3 iPhone S's with a stabilizer and a specially created Moondog Lab lenses. This really embraces the micro-budget nature of the filmmaking, and it ends up looking really interesting. Submitting the film at Sundance, it became the first film at Sundance, a place where filmmakers have always brought creativity and interesting means of filmmaking to be shot entirely on iPhones. Of course, every film needs a known quantity, a marquee name, and James Ransone, who played Ziggy Sabaka on season 2 of The Wire, and the fake hostage turned bank robber in Inside Man, a film we talked about last month.
Whatever. This guy. Asshole.
Is here as the pimp, Chester, who uses Donut Time as his place to conduct business.
You know, my stuff was specific to Donut Time, was that while we did have permits for the locations, they weren't locked off, so people just would walk in and out, and you'd have some crazy, methed out maniac in a wheelchair barreling down Santa Monica Boulevard, just like trying to get in the shot. So we'd have to cut every time that stuff would happen.
Tangerine follows multiple characters through the streets, but the dynamic duo at the center of it is Alexandra and Cindy, 2 transgender sex workers. After Cindy gets out of a 28-day bid in jail on Christmas Eve, Alexandra accidentally informs her best friend that her pimp and boyfriend Chester has been caught cheating on her with fish.
Who is she?
Girl, she's some white fish. I don't know.
Chester's fucking cheating on me with real fish?
Yeah, bitch, like a real fish, girl, like vagina and everything.
I've been gone for 28 fucking days, and you mean to tell me that he's been out here cheating on me with fish?
Or a cisgender prostitute named Dinah, who is new in Chester's lineup. This sets off a chain of events as Cindy tracks down Chester's latest bottom bitch and looks for her boyfriend. Overlapping with the main story is the story of an Armenian taxi driver named Razmik, who is what we call a chaser.
It's a pussy.
Get the fuck out of my car. Give me my money. Where'd you put my money?
What is your problem,
Get the
dude?
fuck out of my car.
Whatever,
That's what you were hanging
waste
on?
my time.
That's not for pussies.
Finding out that Cindy is out of jail, Razmik leaves his family on Christmas Eve to find her. This sets up a major climax at Donut Time as all these characters come together for a long-awaited confrontation. Even without the iPhone filmmaking, which is what a lot of the coverage of this film focused on, well, that and the fact that Maya Taylor and Kiki Rodriguez were submitted for the first ever Oscar campaign for 2 transgender actresses. This is a deeply frenetic and energetic film that could hold a candle to anything filmmakers like the Safdie brothers have cooked up. It's also deeply human, emotional, funny, and at times, dare I say, cathartic.
You act so motherfucking high and mighty about this shit. Yeah, I see it. Oh, no. But here's the thing. What didn't she tell you? She didn't tell you that me and her was knocking it 3 weeks ago? Oh. What, you didn't want to fucking tell her that part?
Tonight's show is brought to you by Yabiga. A Balkan Rakia spirit, go to yabiga.com to order a bottle tonight. Anyway, before I introduce the panel, please like this video and subscribe to the Movie Night Extravaganza YouTube channel. Hit that bell to get notified whenever we're streaming. Also, we are now monetized, so if you have any pressing questions during this live stream, send us a super chat, which helps me keep the show running, and which I am obligated by international law, human rights law, to answer. We also have a Patreon, patreon.com/movie night extra. All of our after parties are on there forever. We also have a new Discord and a Letterboxd HQ account, so those are 2 more places to follow along with us. Links are in the description. Okay, let me introduce the panel. KT Baldassaro is an actress, director, and writer who co-wrote and directed and also starred in Girl in the Basement, along with appearing in quite a few horror movies. You can also catch her voice acting in the scripted podcast series, The Starwell Foundation, an audio drama set in the city of superheroes, wherever podcasts are listened to, and her new film podcast, What If I Don't Like It? New episodes bi-monthly. J. Andrew World, illustrator, book cover artist, artist for Give Them an Argument, co-host for Movie Night Extravaganza, and Bad Takes. Kristina Oakes is streaming on Twitch at Cosmopolitics, twitch.tv/Cosmopolitics. Also recently joined YouTube, she's on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at Cosmopolitics. Send her some subs on Twitch, and send her a coffee. Bam is the co-host of Power Report and the host of We Made It podcast. I, of course, am your host who is recording this whole thing on an iPhone, Forrest Miller. You know I don't do downers. You know I'm an uppers hoe.
Hey guys, did you know that this movie was filmed on an iPhone?
I heard such rumors.
Indeed, an uppers hoe. So let's start here. Is this everybody's first time watching this movie? KT, it's definitely not yours, right? You've watched this movie before?
I had seen it before, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
so
this was my first time.
When did you first watch this?
Well, I think I watched it shortly after it came to VOD because, hey guys, did you know that this was filmed on an iPhone?
Wait, what?
As an aspiring filmmaker, I really wanted to see, because people were saying like it was really believable how it didn't seem to be filmed on an iPhone, and I wanted to see what they did. And I definitely think sound, using real sound equipment matters, because when you're watching an iPhone video, it's like
And the color correction, what they did with the color correcting in the film is absolutely masterful.
Yeah. And pumping it up so much makes it feel so surreal and so not Christmassy.
No, but this is a Christmas movie.
I mean, LA itself, right? Like LA does not feel Christmassy to me. Like even when they tried to make LA kind of Christmas movies, even when it's like The Night Before or whatever the fucking Seth Rogen one is, where they're running through like I'm pretty sure it's in LA. They're running through and nothing really looks Christmassy. I don't feel like Los Angeles is a particularly Christmassy city, and I like that this movie leans into it.
This is why my sister stayed in New Jersey, because she's like, Christmas down south doesn't seem like Christmas, and I'm like, well, lucky you.
Yeah, but like there's something specific to there's something like very specific to California though, right? Like it's like it's not just
trees and
not just like a southern Bale Christmas, because they definitely celebrated Christmas down in the south.
Streets of Texas are lit whenever it comes to Christmas. Like we, might not have snow down in Texas, but my God, do we have Christmas lights? And we put up all the Christmas lights.
Well, I remember Phil Spector's Christmas album with Darlene Love singing White Christmas. They did like a little, they inserted a little dialogue where she's like, "Oh, I'm home in LA. The orange and palm trees sway." And I'm like, well, that makes sense, because you live in California.
The cacti.
You're singing about cocaine, right?
Yeah.
But I wanted to specifically ask you about the script in this, because I feel like the script is really interesting. Like the budget constraints on this movie make it so that the final, jumping ahead to the end, but like the final confrontation that it's, the entire movie is kind of scheduled around. It makes it feel almost play-like in a very specific way, right? Like the two characters, Alexandria and Dinah, kind of feel like a Greek chorus, because every time, everybody's kind of pushing their own thing in the middle of that conversation, and more people keep going up. The mother-in-law, the Armenian family, the fucking Chinese food lady that's trying to call, or the whatever Chinese donut lady that's trying to call the cops on them. Like, there's so much going on at once. You need something like a Greek chorus to keep it grounded, I think, which was the function of a Greek chorus in older plays.
Oh my God, yeah. And I couldn't help but immediately think of the film Moonstruck, which goes in the same sort of way, converges all the way towards the end, where you get your ensemble cast and everyone's screaming at the same time, and it feels really frenetic, and there's this big thing that's coming to a head that has been coming to a head the entire film, and it was really fun to watch, which also people say feels like a play because it was written by a playwright, but it's no surprise to me that Baker thought about building this the way that he did, and that's part of why it succeeds so well. Like, you couldn't film something on an iPhone and have it be boring. It's compelling from scene to scene, and there's no fat.
Yeah, I mean, like the opening thing.
My college professor that taught all my classes, showed this movie in pieces, which Moonstruck is a very similar class. I had a teacher showing Moonstruck in like a screenwriting class, and in his like formulating media, I forget exactly what class he was teaching. It's like, the beginner level kind of media class. Apparently you showed scenes from this movie as like, this is low budget filmmaking, obviously micro budget filmmaking, as they pretentiously kind of call it. But it's also like the kind of thing you could do just with an iPhone, the kind of thing you could do with, and expensive recording equipment, which they don't really, they sell you on the iPhone, but you could not make a movie obviously with an iPhone recorder. Like that would.
There's a term even sadder than micro budget. I think micro budget really refers to the contract between the actors and the union. And then there's one that's called ultra low. Like ultra low micro budget. Like, oh, that's so many words for small.
Minuscule.
I saw, I don't know. I don't mean, this might, like, I'm not, like arguing with the actor contract part, but I saw Mark Duplass talking about, he was calling it micro budget as in what the producers were willing to give, at least in the case of this, in the case of like, like a mumblecore film, right? Like his not anymore, because now they make big budget productions, including like, I think they're even like the superhero fucking movie game now. But like the Duplass brothers originally, right? Like they would fundraise these micro budget, like small budgets, and then hand independent directors like a very small amount of money and say, this is your constraint. And that way it almost feels like you're doing a film for a class or something like that.
Yeah, and they've crossed over with Blumhouse a lot, so they're kind of doing a little bit more franchise stuff. But I'm going to do a blatant plug for a friend of Andy and I's. There's a local film that's being shot here. Join the Club what's the name of the movie? Is that the name of the movie?
I think it's Join the Club. Join the Club.
The Club, which got a little shout out from the Duplass brothers, who do a funding thing where they highlight films that are looking for funding that they think are really good scripts. So, this is something that they are absolutely still dedicated to, working with filmmakers who are just starting out and doing things like this, like Tangerine, which is wonderful.
Yeah, and just they are wrapping up their fundraising for Join the Club, and if y'all can. Melissa needs, they're doing matching donations. So go ahead. Trying to get Melissa on the show has been tough, but she's going to join us one day, and it's going to be great because she's fantastic. So I'm really pulling for that.
You should do Drive Away Dolls with her, because it's kind of in the style of the film that she's about to do, although it's a little older. A two female comedy. If you look at her pitch book. Yeah. But anyway, getting back on track. Sorry.
Yeah. Already.
Alrighty. I just wanted to shout that out, because it is really cool to get to see a friend get to interact with someone at this kind of level, to think about the Duplass brothers and the types of films that they're making, even if they are doing a little bit more Blumhouse stuff, which I personally like. But I know Mr. Neutron, if he were here and I am filling in for him, would be like,
Does he not like Blumhouse?
He doesn't like horror movies very much.
Yeah, he likes some horror. Like, yeah,
he likes it if they're good.
He doesn't like middling stuff, so he's not going to go say Abigail or Megan. Even
I don't know why. Coda was like, Abigail gives away too much in the trailer, and I'm like, as someone who saw Abigail, I'm like, the trailer is very misleading. So,
yeah,
see that
one doll and one man come together in the romantic comedy of the summer. There's
M3 Gan.
I like Sean Baker, and I've gone on like kind of a Sean Baker tangent, because I watched Florida Project, which I avoided when it first came out, because I was like, you know what? I went to Florida in like 2016 for a vacation. I was like, I feel like I've had enough. That's enough Florida. I've had my fill of the old Florida. But and it was Florida as fuck. But I watched that, and then today I watched Up to the Last.
And you cried like a baby.
I did. I cried because of the CPS thing. The CPS, it's so sad that she's about to get taken away, and she's trying to tell her friend that she's going to get a new family. I had my own experiences as a kid with CPS. So like I had, it resonated with me in that fucking mold. I think I could get away with crying for that.
That's fair. You know what? A good filmmaker, I did not like the characters at the very beginning of the film, and I think that's actually interesting, because you just jump in the middle of a conversation, no establishing shot, so like you don't even know where the characters are sitting in relationship to each other.
You're talking about fish, and you're like, what do you?
You're just like
go to the harbor, like
middle of it. And Cindy's a very unlikable character at first. Like the first act, she's completely unlikable. But as the movie goes on, like I actually felt a little emotional whenever she got proposed to at the end during that. Like a little thing of emotion like sprouted up inside of me, and I'm just like, oh, they're gonna get married.
But that guy is terrible. That's the worst fucking possible choice for her. She could have done much better.
Who else is gonna marry her?
Chester, aka Ziggy from The Wire.
Who else had this overwhelming like this fucking guy when you meet Chester the first time?
Yeah.
Well, I know him as Adult Eddie in It Chapter 2. So that's how I know him.
Well, noted, I guess.
That's why when I watched this, I was like, this is the pimp? He looks like some like white SoundCloud rapper. Like what's going on
that's
here?
what he's supposed to look like that. He's not supposed to be a good pimp. And I love the scene where they're just eviscerating him in the beginning. They're like, his breath stinks. He wears fucking black socks. What kind of pimp wears fucking black socks? He doesn't even know what the fuck he's doing. Like they're just eviscerating everything that's not pimp-like about him. And you get there, and he's dressed like fucking Gary Oldman in True Romance.
Yes.
When he's the like, I don't know. It's just he's not supposed to be a good pimp. He's definitely supposed to be like the bottom fucking, no pun intended, bottom class of pimp. I mean, even his own fucking hoe is like eviscerating him by the end of it.
Oh yeah, I mean it's great just to watch everybody just rip into each other. But like at that point, like you're actually won over by these characters too. Like that's the thing.
I'm not won over by Chester.
Well, whatever. But like the bottom line is like you're actually cheering for Cindy. Then when you get to the very, very end and you find out like what's her name was the instigator of everything and really is quite a problem herself. It's like, oh yeah, we've all known people like that in our lives.
Well, and the idea of wanting a monogamous relationship in this world of meth addiction and fucking and pimping is kind of a funny concept, because the entire thing, I like the whole thing that they do where they ask the Armenian guy's wife, which I felt so bad for that guy. That guy definitely won me over from the very beginning, because I loved that guy. That guy was great, even though he was willing to risk his whole family to be a chaser. But on fucking Christmas Eve, he should go down in history as like the #1 chaser character. But they're really like that, I think. Like, I don't know, like anytime you talk to like a trans person like I'm friends with, or like there's like a certain kind of guy that's willing to fucking, that has like a family, is supposedly into like well, I mean it's still straight sex, but like into like heteronormative like monogamous sex, and then on the DL they're like on the low, they're hitting up every fucking trans woman they meet, trying to get some, trying to suck some dick, trying to like whatever the fucking thing is, whatever they're getting off to, like and the whole thing about, there's almost like a language to it, like the woman that was the he picks up the the cis woman, the fish fucking prostitute, that one black woman, thinking that that's a trans prostitute, and picks her up in the car, and then he gets enraged because she's on the wrong track, which is it's almost like its own language, or its own symbolic whatever, because if you're a trans prostitute, you have to, like, you're on one part of it, and if you're there's a certain area for cis prostitute. Like, it's kind of interesting. It almost feels like its own map and its own lingo.
Yeah, it felt a lot like reading Clockwork Orange, where like you're just dropped right in and there's terminology that is not familiar to you, but the characters don't bother to explain it to you. You either pick it up, it's contextual, or fuck you.
I mean, Fish was, I hate it, but Fish was because I did my like thesis film in college was a drag queen film, and drag queens also use the term fish to describe like someone who's like completely femme presenting, like, you know what I mean, like that's like its own mode of drag. So I've heard that term before. I don't like that. Like, it just feels so disrespectful, and like in a way that
we're outside of the community too. Like it's kind of weird to kind of I mean, we should feel uncomfortable using language of a community that we're not a part of.
Yeah, for
Yeah,
sure.
but it's exactly like you said at the beginning. Like you feel like you're not part of it. You feel like you're dropped in, but almost through the shared trauma that you experience with them throughout the day, you become inured to them, and that's how I feel like the relationship between Cindy and Alexandra is. Even though Alexandra does this thing and fucks Chester while she's in jail, like they're still gonna wind up being friends because of the bond of their community.
And you really see like that solidarity in that last scene when, I mean, it's so fucking heartbreaking. She gets, you know, urine just thrown on her and it's in her mouth. Like, it's just the kind of fucking trans hate crime that, I mean, you know, it's good that she wasn't fucking killed or like, because this is, you know, this is like 2016. It's like the numbers of fucking trans women, especially trans women of color, you know, that get killed.
It's gone up because we got to think about what happened in 2015. You know, you had Laverne Cox on the cover of Time magazine. Caitlyn Jenner was coming out as trans. You know, in a weird way, things were somewhat good because people were recognizing transgender folks because of people like Laverne Cox and Caitlyn Jenner, who were positive role models.
I don't
Caitlyn
think good. I think better. But yes, go on.
Yeah. Like it's like we've regressed so much in these past 10 years, like just for nothing, really, in my opinion.
Well,
like for nothing.
And I
These people
remember
just wanna live their
even
lives.
even in 2016 or 2015, the North Carolina bathroom bill, right? Like that kind of died on the vine.
Obama.
That kind of, well, but it also kind of died, you know, petered out. It died on the vine because people didn't really know. I mean, there weren't trans people necessarily as many in media, right? Like the few times that there were, it was someone like Laverne Cox or it was somebody like Caitlyn Jenner. But you know, there's only like 1% of the country that is trans. Like the amount of work that has to get put into making transgender identity like a culture war, or, you know, what do you call it, moral panic, is so it's so great because most people don't know a trans person, right? Like you're gonna be told on the news, and I'm sure, you know, it incenses like certain people, but you can be told on the news like, oh, there's this thing, and you know, kids are being, you know, the drag queen story hour, they're being groomed, quote unquote. Like you can hear all of that, but it's not something that, you know, the everyday American is experiencing. Unlike something I think in some cases like when gay rights were first on the line, it's like I think there's a lot more gay men that you can experience and be like, oh, that's something scary, than actually like in life experiencing trans people. If you're not part of a community necessarily where trans people you know, live and reside, and like I was exposed to meeting trans people when I was, and I didn't even like know it was a thing other than, you know, like this is a, you know, this is somebody that like I'm to refer to as a woman. They are a woman, like, you know what I mean? Like when I was a kid, my grandpa had like a handy woman that worked around the house, like on the tiny island in Maine, and you know, that was my first experience meeting a trans person, and I was very young, and so I've always felt very natural about being like, all right, well, trans women are women, like, of course, like, but if you're not exposed to that, I think, and you know, but like at the same time, it's so hard to make that in, like, a lasting culture war issue, you know, that you can actually kind of just throw.
Because you got to think of something new every election cycle. Also, to Obama's credit, he had like the Department of Education kind of step in and threaten a lot of these colleges in North Carolina, like, we will withdraw funding if you try to implement any bathroom bills. And also, to a lot of college basketball teams were doing their games outside North Carolina. See, Biden, you could actually do stuff like that when GOP lawmakers are trying to implement shitty policies about transgender folks, but he ain't doing shit about that.
It's
also too, I also had I actually, again, same thing with trans. In high school, I went to high school with she was a transfer student. She was transgender. Like, obviously, you know, she obviously didn't get all the surgeries, whatever, but
in South Carolina,
she was a bit of a troublemaker, of course. But a lot of people always said that she was really just a gay man. I'm like, no, I'm like, that's a woman. She's wearing a padded bra. She grew out her hair, did her nails, her hair, her makeup. I'm like, that's a girl. Like, I don't care what people say. I'm like, that's a girl.
In this movie, right, you get the how casually somebody is misgendered at this time. Like the cop is kind of
the cop
is using she, but then the second, you know, the cop's like, oh, this is Alexander, and like goes out of the cops, because fuck cops, but goes out of their way to misgender her, and then tries to kind of half-heartedly you know, say the right thing, because I don't really understand whether because when she's like, oh, have you met Alexander? Like, I don't if she was supposed to be kind of like an informant. I mean, I guess it's kind of getting you ready for the end of it, where it's like, yeah, she kind of scummed her best friend too. Probably is kind of some kind of informant of some kind, but like, there's, it's like this thing where it's if the cops want something from you, or if the cops want to contain like a modicum of respect, but the second she starts getting upset, she misgenders her instantaneously, like during that confrontation.
Yeah, like a power move.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just took it that they knew Alexandra because she works the street and they just kind of know everyone. I didn't really think that she was an informant.
Well, the line was like, have you had the something to work with?
Pleasure of working with. I think that just was sarcasm. Like, have you had to arrest this person yet?
Yeah, it probably was that. I don't know.
Both. Yeah.
I mean, but the end of it, you're like, maybe she wasn't, because she's like, she's kind of sneaky about the other thing too. But like the idea of she does, but like if you spend like a lot of time with I mean, not just trans people, I think a lot of times trans people just want to fit in, like, you know what I mean? But like, especially like with drag queens, which are a different thing, with the over the top kind of performance of drag, like I felt like there are certain characters in this movie that I'm like, like I know people in the LGBTQ community that 100% remind me of like certain people. Like I saw one, I couldn't really tell if they were supposed to be trans, because they were like the makeup was like really performative. I think there's this one older person that goes drama, and like I have a friend that I sent them that, and I was like, hey, it's you, but like in LA, like. I love from the beginning, it sets you up with because anytime somebody says just promise me there's not going to be any drama, like you already know, number one, that the person's going to cause drama, but you also like, it's like nobody can promise you that they're not gonna, you know what I mean? Like if someone's that big and that performative and that like she just powers through the whole scene, and I find it really fascinating that Cindy, like the character, like the actress Kiki, I guess, that played her, thought of the actual outline of the movie, like literally called Sean Baker and was like, look, I think like who we should be looking for is the boyfriend who's the pimp, and I think that she needs to be tearing through the city trying to find the boyfriend that cheated on her, and that was her idea, like going into this. And she was the roommate of Maya, who's the Alexander character. Now, watching a lot of interview clips of them, you get the feeling that Maya is 100% not the Alexander character whatsoever. Like she's very low key, very mellow. Like seems like she's having like kind of a blast at all these different interviews. Whereas Kiki is 100% that person. Like, and I found that the dynamic between the two of them having to live together, presumably, when this movie was filmed, so fucking fascinating, because it's like the one, Maya, and they kind of made, I think, Maya more of the face of this, because the amount of energy that you get from the actress Kiki is just
awful. Man, I mean, she's kicking in doors of trap houses. She's dragging people through the streets. It's great.
Although the energy that you get off of Maya when she delivers the line to the guy who has ripped her off of $40, the like, oh, you forgot I had a dick too, is such a power move line. And then she goes to punch him.
Well, because I think a big part of it too, they're on the streets, and like you have to, I mean, especially being like a trans woman of color, but like you have to survive on the streets. Yeah. And like there's
and look at her pimp. Like he's not going to be out there like beating up people who don't pay her.
Well, she doesn't even Alexander doesn't even have a pimp.
Exactly. I think the part of the reason why this film works so well on the budget with all the limitations that it has is because Kiki drove part of the story. So the actresses really understand on a very deep, visceral level the characters that they're bringing to you. And so it feels really alive. So the acting is so good from people you normally couldn't afford that kind of acting on that micro budget. You'd have to buy a really good actor to get that acting or that level of understanding.
There's a lot of weird clicking in this, because it's like, I guess they fucked up the boom mic or something. But I found this interview for I think KT, you've probably watched stuff from this DP30. They go through like, it's the oral history of whatever. It's like a podcast or it's like an old show. They take each person through like the oral history of different movies.
Nice.
this is so whoever was doing the boom and everything in this, I guess.
They just did Hereditary the episode before, so that the clicking's left over from that.
No, like so there's something. They might just be that they're very performative. They keep hitting the, like the thing, but I don't know. But so just a warning. There's literally a caption at the beginning of this. Just so you know, we couldn't take out the clicking sounds from this or whatever.
Oh my god, they keep hitting the lap mic. Maybe that happened in a thing that I saw recently, an interview.
What the story would be and how you would write a script to start to come together quickly?
It came not really, because we had heard a lot of stories and anecdotes, and they were all very important and all very interesting and dramatic, but nothing really was striking us as the A plot yet. And I said, well, I'm still looking. I think this is going to take place on one day because we have no budget and we don't want costume changes. So one day is easier for us. And I think it's about two people coming together. That's all I got. So we were brainstorming for a while. And then finally Kiki said, well, if you want a story about two people coming together, it was this one time, and she told us this story of the woman scorned, the fish that was being sought after. And I just thought, I just thought that is an incredibly dramatic story, but also extremely layered. And there's a lot going on there, and it takes our characters on a journey through LA. And then Chris Bergash, who co-wrote the screenplay, he was like, let's make that our A plot. And then all of the stories that we had heard from Maya about and all the anecdotes, we sprinkled those throughout. And that's really how it developed. We walked away, wrote a scriptment, which is like half a script, half a treatment. And we presented it to the two girls, and they were just, they gave us a few notes, but for the most part, it was like thumbs up.
Yeah, it was pretty good.
I was just thinking, like, he goes, and then Maya tells all these stories, and the way Maya tells stories, it's like the funniest way you got here. She's like, well, this one girl once walked over here, this happened, so she grabbed this rock, and she just did this, and you're just like, wow, that's very extreme. That's your story, girl. And Maya was like, and it was so funny. And I was just sitting, no, I'm just kidding. But she was just like playing around, just like trying to see if you're gonna gag at what she's saying. And that's just totally Maya. And I'm just like, oh, Maya.
That is amazing.
I love her for doing stuff like that. So when you bring up certain things and like make me remind me of that process, I'm just like, oh my gosh. The lies we would have said. No, I was just kidding. No, it was all true.
So it's strange to
More
see
extreme.
your stories and your life and these ideas kind of come together on a piece of paper all of a sudden.
It was exciting. It was very exciting. I think the most excitement for me was when we actually went to someplace on Santa Monica Boulevard to actually not audition, but to
workshop. We were workshopping scenes.
But girl, we used to audition on Santa Monica Boulevard. I'm just kidding.
No, we were workshopping a lot of the scenes, and so we would basically go in there with maybe a page at the most, and then we would just say, let's riff on this and figure it out. And for example, the bus scene, where we just lined up chairs like this and said, let's pretend we're on a bus right now and see where we can go. You just performed at Mary's. Go. And so we'd record all of these things, and if the dialogue was good enough, we'd transcribe it and put it into a script.
That's a fascinating process.
Seriously.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I like the scriptment, like the half script, half treatment, which funny enough, I think that's basically how they script Curb Your Enthusiasm. Like it's a similar process. They have like a half script, half treatment that they give, but then they don't build a script off of that. They just kind of give actors like that half script, half treatment. The other show that kind of did that was The League, which has Mark Duplass on it, which is kind of funny.
Well, I guess it also depends on if you're trying to get your budget or not. I imagine something like this where they might need to go through producers might have needed a more full script, which they didn't really say anything about.
I don't know. The thing is, they didn't need to go through producers.
Well, I mean, did anybody else produce this besides the Duplass brothers?
No.
Okay.
I don't think so. The thing, yeah. I was watching him give an interview about it, and he said basically what he did was because he had made a bunch of low budget movies before, and the Duplass brothers said, hey, this, like, your filmmaking is right up our alley, we want to work with you. And he called up Mark Duplass and was like, hey, so my idea is Santa Monica and Highland pretty much. And Mark Duplass was like, okay, greenlit, and sent him the money. So I don't think that they had a bunch of, I mean, they might have credited like people that he generally works with as producers, but I don't think there was no like process of that. Like literally from the start, he kind of had full creative control, which is which is the interesting thing about severe budget constraints. So you can't obviously do anything, but like the idea of doing like one of these micro budget things, if it goes badly and you burn out, you're not losing a lot of money. So you can essentially have some kind of creative control, which is like if you're that kind of filmmaker, I get the feeling Sean Baker makes some very weird fucking shit from what I've seen. Like like even his big movies, like even his large movies like Florida Project, like he only spent $2 million on it. If everything had crashed and burned, within that whole thing, I would imagine. I wonder how much of that was Willem Dafoe that he paid off. But like, if that had crashed and burned all together in one thing, right? Like he's only losing $2 million. I mean, for us, seems like a lot, but like,
I mean, honestly, Willem Dafoe was only going to get like a small amount of money. It was just not to take out his penis. Was because apparently it's large and very disorientating.
It is disorienting, but like that's half.
I'm gonna take out my penis. This way.
To put it in perspective, $2 million is half of what they paid Amy Poehler to be in Inside Out 2, and just that one that just came out.
Yeesh. All right.
So that's less. I mean, they actually paid her $5 million, so it's less than half of what one actor just got in a voice-only role.
I mean, even more stark, if I remember correctly, I was reading about 2.5 Men, and they were giving Charlie Sheen $27 million an episode or something by the end of it, like that insane amount of money.
And he wanted more.
Do not give that guy that much money.
He's gonna blow it on coke, man. Coke and corn stars.
I just feel like
hookers and blow.
That's never. But like, I feel like that's the amount of money that got him AIDS. But like, I feel like I don't know, like the amount of like what you're losing in that case, even with $2 million, is not a lot, because the whole thing is that if you have a big budget movie like a Marvel movie or like I mean that's kind of the top tier
James
example
Cameron
like,
movie.
Who he would never. James Cameron could never team iPhone. That's smart. But
you know what, he might like let's be honest, like one of the thing about being an artist, and I would argue that you could definitely put James Cameron in that category of being an artist, because like he loves to put constraints on his filmmaking or not.
Yeah, but his constraints are like underwater.
Yeah, exactly. So, but like he still challenges himself and like literally is developing new technology. Whether or not you like that or not, that's a whole other, whether he's successful as an artist, different conversation. But like
somebody who didn't make the budget go underwater was Sean Baker.
But the bottom line is like any artist, worth their salt will always be putting constraints on themselves, and it's nice to see what you can do. Like whether it's something simple like, oh, we're going to film all underwater. Okay, how's that going to work out?
My James Cameron joke is that he famously had that quote that we said a bunch of times when we were talking about Alien, I think, or Aliens. He famously had that quote where he was like, Aliens. He famously had that quote where he was like, like nobody should be watching my movies on an iPhone. And so every time it's like, yeah, well, you know what? Fuck you, James Cameron. I'll watch this on an iPhone.
I mean, Christopher Nolan had kind of the same concept. Like, that's why he films all his movies for IMAX. And everyone's like, I'm watching this on a MP3, iPhone, whatever. Like the way Christopher Nolan did it.
Yeah, and Soderbergh did that film in 2019, Flying High, which he filmed on an iPhone. So, like, it is the medium you choose.
The thing that's crazy to me about this is not that he filmed this on 3 iPhones. I guess 2 at a time. I guess he didn't do more than 2 shots at a time. It's that they were iPhone 5s. It's that it's long enough ago that
iPhone 5 in 2015. That's wild. Like,
because I remember what my photos look like, right? Like, because I can just go to Facebook and look at any of my photos from, and I don't even know if I had like an iPhone like 5 or whatever. But like,
mine was a 4S.
Yeah, I think I had that too. But like looking at my photos, like it's not the quality that you expect from this. Which I mean is the lenses are what really sells it, I think, and the stabilizer, right? Like because he's not doing World Star. He's not like World Star.
And he's also choosing cinematic angles. He's being thoughtful. There is a process between what is being filmed when we're walking behind the 2 actresses. It's not just because this is the most convenient shot. It's because this is giving us this like intimate eavesdropping feeling of slowly falling into their world.
Yeah, I have this. Hold on, I gotta find which clip it is because
Yeah, I
named
just
all
looked it up while you're looking for that clip. The iPhone 5 became first available in the United States in 2013. So this is like a 2-year-old cell phone that he's filming on.
So
Oof. Well, you know, you can
basically,
find
he was
free.
due. So basically, what you're saying is he was due for an upgrade because usually the cycle of the billing cycle for a phone is like 2 years.
I'm surprised
Yeah, yeah.
Apple wasn't like, we'll give you an upgrade to any phone you want. Just keep shooting movies on an iPhone.
Meanwhile, I still have my 11 after 5 years.
So obviously, there was the Academy Awards campaign for this movie, right? And it was the first time two trans actresses, well, one trans actress, but the first time two trans actresses were ever up for an Oscars campaign. They didn't end up getting nominated, but the Academy still wanted to, honor this film somehow. So they ended up putting the iPhones into the Academy Museum. I'm pretty sure, like you can see the iPhone. So this is a thing that they shot. I'm guessing not an iPhone. To commemorate their putting his iPhone into the Academy Museum. Probably first iPhone that anyone's ever. Well, maybe people just leave their iPhones there. I don't know, but
Knowing that we wanted to tell a story about Santa Monica and Highland, I had never seen it in film and TV, and I don't know why. I just knew that by passing this location, there were many stories to be told here. Matt, no.
I had $2. You know what I spent that on?
What?
The bus and a donut.
It's been 4 years, and a lot has changed. We were shooting at a time where this area was becoming gentrified. Now it's pretty much gentrified altogether. The whole film really builds up to this climactic confrontation that takes place with our entire ensemble cast at what was once Donut Time, and now is actually owned by Danny Trejo, and he's made it into Trejo's Coffee and Donuts. We always knew that Donut Time had to be a part of it. It's iconic. It was the hub that many of these girls used at night for shelter. We didn't want to fake this at a donut shop on the other side of town. I actually told my producers, if we don't get Donut Time, I'm not interested in making the film.
I'm not doing that. I'm out of here because I told you. I already told you.
A lot has changed. There used to be 3 tables and then a side door over here. That's where we had Razmik's wife enter with the child. We shot over the course of 3 nights, but only 2 nights inside, and they started to close at midnight. So we could only really shoot 7 to midnight. So we had 5 hours one night, 5 hours the second night, and it was a running gun marathon.
What are you plotting?
It was always tight, and as you can tell, it's still tight. It's a very small space. Some people think we had a pimped out or a tricked out iPhone. That's not the case. We had an adapter that was literally the size of a matchbook that fit over the lens with a little stabilizer, and that was it. I was able to move very easily around and get different angles. There were 3 iPhones. You can see from the production of this movie, we're not making a ton of money. So I had to sell off one of the iPhones to pay rent, okay? But I held on to 2 of them, and one of them is being donated to the Academy Museum of Motion Pictures, and it's an incredible honor to have been asked, and we're very, very proud, very happy.
That's awesome.
That is pretty awesome.
it's crazy that Danny Trejo is the one that owns Donut Time now, though.
Yeah. Funny story. Like I was talking to Ben, and somehow it came up that he didn't know that Danny Trejo had several taco places and a donut place in LA, and he's just like, "Oh, I got to check that out." And so, like a couple days later, I get this, Ben has sent you a picture, and I check, and he's at the place sending me photos of the donut place.
And that's why Danny Trejo fucking makes stuff with Ben Shapiro now, because he's a business owner. He's building. But
honestly, no, Danny Trejo will work whenever you hire him. So like KT, if you have a movie you want him in, he'd probably do it.
He is available to do it. I actually wanted to ask you guys a question because I was so compelled by the fact that this movie was pushed forward from this idea of Donut Time is an awesome and interesting place. And Andy, I kind of know the answer for our area, which is if there was a place that was notorious and strange around you, where would it be that you would be compelled to make into a movie? For us, it would be the Walmart in Chicopee, because it is the Walmart with the #1 most calls to the police. So it's a fucking ridiculous Walmart.
Yeah.
But you two, Kristina and Forrest, is there a business near you that you think would make a compelling movie like this?
Probably either the McDonald's on the south side down the road from where I live, or even our own Walmart too. So
I mean,
because all the kids come after school, and like for the McDonald's, all the kids come there after school, and they spend hours there instead of doing their homework. They're just causing chaos and driving. Like the first time I went to McDonald's with children, I'm like, oh my God, was I like this when I was their age? I don't think I would, because I was too busy hanging out at the Atlanta Bread Company. Like,
yeah.
Well,
also with the Walmart, it's not open 24 hours anymore. Bring the 24-hour Walmarts back, please. I want to do my shopping in peace at 3 a.m. with the weird homeless folks. Okay, just bring it back.
I want to buy KY jelly and M&Ms and not have to explain it to anybody.
Yes.
Remember the Dunkin' on King Street was open 24 hours. And I used to go there with my ARP group after we'd be playing in downtown Northampton for several hours. We'd then go to Dunkin' Donuts and stay there till like 2, 3 in the morning, finishing up our game.
Nice. Good choice.
Yeah. I mean, anything that I would film, I feel like around here, I would have to go to the fucking Quiet Place Bridge. And I would have to figure out something to film on the bridge from the Quiet Place, because that's the classic now.
You also have that Red Lobster.
Yeah. Apparently, also the mall. Who was it? From Mandy Patinkin apparently came to our mall, and I don't know if it was related to the John Oliver thing. It might have been. He like made a TikTok at our old mall that's now like pretty much shut down. Like it's literally a mall that like it's creepy. Like I hate fucking shut down malls, right? Like so this is a mall that's essentially shut down right now. And he went there and it was like roasting our mall, being like, it's like a ghost town in here. And it's like, get out of here, fucking Mandy was thinking. But it might have been related to the John Oliver thing, and I don't know. But he bought the Red Lobster that I took when I was 21. I took a girl that I really liked that was way too hot for me to Red Lobster at that Red Lobster.
It's a classy ass joint. It really is.
Yeah, but the thing that wasn't I heard the story because I was kind of half paying attention, I think, to John Oliver 2 weeks ago. My weekly John Oliver fucking binge, I guess. And he said something about how someone went to a shut down Red Lobster and a bakery had put a note on the door that was like, "Oh, give us these pieces of equipment." And I was like, "Wow, what a like a not classy fucking like what a bunch of savages in whatever this place is." And it turns out it's here.
Right in your own town.
Yeah. Well,
you got that thick ass bear.
Mom, why did you do this?
It's 20 minutes away, but yeah, it's like the next, the next city type thing. The next exit, I guess. That's not not over in Poughkeepsie where everyone's picking their feet. We're not really doing well with our media representation. But yeah, I feel like it would have to be the Quiet Place Bridge if I was gonna pick one spot to do something. Well, because everybody does that though. Like I've literally filmed the Quiet Place Bridge a bunch of times when I was still.
Oh my God, you like constantly are posting selfies of yourself from the Quiet Place Bridge.
So I think it's really funny because you go down the bridge and they literally the kid, it's like the opening scene where the kid is playing with the airplane. They took the airplane and put it on top of the bridge on like a chain. So you go by it every time you see it, you see that kid's airplane that he gets himself killed over.
Yeah.
Yes, I think about it instantaneously. But getting back to this movie, there's I like the low budget nature of it. I like the editing. I guess they edited it. KT, you can speak to this because you did your
yeah,
TikTok.
They did. They used an app called Filmic Pro, which is available and it's still available right now on the iTunes store or iApp.
Really
and it's Apple, whatever the fuck. It is Apple specific, but it is only $8. Like if you want to get the full pro, you want to be spending it. It's $8 and you can really edit your whole thing. I have used some of their softwares. I've used CapCut, which is another TikTok forward editing software, and it's amazing how much you can get with free software. Where I remember back in the day just trying to use, an Adobe Suite process. Yeah.
They're getting their asses. They're getting their asses sued for
We
all the
talked
shit
about that in the after party last week, right? Some
Yeah.
of the, but I remember when they had the free version of Final Cut. It wasn't Final Cut Pro, but you could download like the free version of Final Cut.
Yeah.
And I remember they also
Yeah.
had the free version of Avid for a little while, which I'm not like I'm gonna edit, like I can edit deep, but like Avid's always been kind of the interface just kind of throws me off.
Now, did they do the color correction on the phone as well?
It
I
seems
believe
like
they did use this. They used Filmic Pro to do the color correction. Yes.
Okay, because that honestly, the color correction like takes this movie and takes it up a notch. I was so enamored by because one of the things that they did is for the most part that when they were filming outside during the day, they kind of had like this almost orange like thing to it, and it kind of lent it to LA and smog, like it just, if you've ever been to LA, it is that color, and that they were able to
And they also,
and then like different places they also had different color corrections which worked. I mean, like the subway, the blues was just incredible. So I loved it.
it really enriches it, and they used digital film grain to finish that off. That really makes it feel different.
There's a really incredible sequence, which it's the whole sequence where number one, they take you through the fucking subway, and she's kind of running through the thing right before she gets on the subway, and they're kind of playing like this classical type kind of Christmassy music. I think like it's kind of like this, and she's running around. She's asking everyone for a cigarette. She's like, getting in everyone's face, asking for a cigarette. She's smoking the cigarette. They have it playing like this interesting classical kind of Christmassy type thing, and then all of a sudden the beat that keeps dropping throughout her whole tear through fucking LA, that fucking rhythm goes off at the same time as the classical music is fading out, and she's sitting there smoking a cigarette, and I was like, this is next level for what for the way that they were making this. Like there's so much fucking hitting you at once, and I think that in the beginning she's obviously not that likable, but like you instantly know from I think I want to time it to like 4 minutes in that she's about to take you through the fucking city, like this whole fucking neighborhood. They're going through it, and there's like a frenetic, almost Safdie Brothers energy to it, I think, where it's like it's almost like the anxiety you get watching something like Uncut Gems, but like maybe a little more low key, because you're like the stakes are not at first the same, but like you're kind of on a tear through the fucking city, and it's like, oh shit, like where am I going? Like, and there's the beat, like the techno really does it for me too. Like
it's a great synth score.
Yeah.
Have you seen Run Lola Run?
Forever ago.
It's running through Germany with a techno beat behind it. It was very reminiscent for me of this.
That's what everybody wants to Germany.
I got it on DVD a long time ago when I was watching the English version, the English dub. And I'm just like, oh my God, this is terrible. Like the guy playing the boyfriend is just like, oh my God, Lola, you're gonna kill me. It's gonna be terrible. And I'm just like, what the hell is this movie? And I switch it to the German, and he's like, nine.
Yeah,
definitely. That's like there's the one creepy German guy in Possession. That's like kind of the spy. And you're with that guy through the whole time in the bar, and he's just getting more and more fucked up as he's like freaking out. The new boyfriend or whatever that's all touchy-feely on him.
I did want to say, Forrest, you're hitting at something that I think is another key point. We keep talking about how the film was edited in a way that makes it feel like it's not on an iPhone, and the sound, but the soundtrack and the way that they use the music to compel the story and move people forward and goes with the cinematography, I thought that was fucking next level. And it filled in places where like, shit, we definitely can't use the audio from this because we're in the middle of this crowd and everybody's talking, and some of these people we can't even get on tape anyway because they didn't sign off for it. So they chose music to fill it in, and it didn't feel like, oh fuck, we don't have sound for this. It felt like, oh no, this is thoughtful. So yeah, you're right.
It feels like you also played fast and loose with the releases, I bet. Like if people's faces and stuff, you kind of like there's some questionable, but I think you're right. I think you're 100% on point with that, and especially in the beginning, the saturation too. It's almost like it feels like a music video that you're watching in a way, right? Like, and a lot of things had that kind of saturation, and they were filmed. This movie's like it's well filmed. You can tell it's like people that are very talented at it. There's a lot of music videos from this time that are filmed. You can tell kind of like shit. But because of the saturation and because of the music behind it, that you still kind of you get that fucking shot of adrenaline that you're like, I don't even give a fuck. This is like clearly oversaturated because you guys didn't do a good job. Not saying that that's the case with this movie at all, but like there's that same kind of it's the same stylistic technique, but it's used on a like on a broader scale, which I mean it kind of has to be, I think, because you can at some point you can tell even with because they use very nice lenses on their like especially made for them, which I want to know how much that fucking cost like of their budget, but they had lenses attached and stabilizers, so it's like it's a very precise thing that's not exactly like it's not like they took the iPhone and they were just like this. But I watched Red Rocket today, and that's like Sean Baker's latest movie before the one that he just dropped, which is the one with Simon Rex, aka Dirt Nasty, as like a porn star. And that film felt to me like he was in conversation with this movie. A lot of it, like Simon Rex's, porn star, he falls in love with like a 18-year-old girl at another donut shop that he starts using for his, but it's like a bigger donut shop. And there's also a fucking Asian lady that's working at the donut shop that, that owns it, named like Mrs. Fo or something. And then at another part in this, he films his sex scene with the 18-year-old girl, which problematic to say the least. At least he waited, I guess, the 3 weeks for her to turn 18. But in this, I mean, it's not obviously you're not supposed to think that he's a cool guy. He's a disgraceful fucking guy. But like,
nobody's cool in these movies.
But like, the scene is filmed on an iPhone. The sex scene that they filmed together. Their first like, so like he's holding it up as he's like as they're fucking, and it's like it feels like in some way that's in conversation with this movie. Like there's because watching like the Florida Project, you don't get the feeling that that's in conversation with this at all. Like it's a very different kind of experience that you're going through, which it has to be. But like, Red Rocket felt like he's calling back to certain weird things in his like whatever occurs to his brain, I guess. And I want to know what the script writing sessions between him and Chris. I don't know what the guy's last name is, but like they must have these incredible screenwriting sessions to come up with a lot of this stuff and to improvise the rest. I mean,
yeah, I also kind of want to know what the casting was, because like this is before Poor Things, and they found like weird guys who were willing to get naked into the camera and look weird.
Yeah, you got that one guy's dick as he's hitting the fucking meth bowl.
Yeah.
Which I mean, Poor Things is not the first movie to do that. I mean, like
no, but Poor Things is like the popular one. Like it's cool now, but this was doing it before Poor Things, so
I only really looked into the
yeah. You didn't look into the naked guys and the trap house.
I didn't get that in depth with
Can you give me the history of flaccid penis cinema?
I mean, there's a lot of German. There's a lot of non-sexual like German and like European cinema from like the latter half of the 20th century that I feel like has like a lot of times when you see that it's not engaged in like sexy, whatever. It's like kind of just flaccid. And I mean, it's happened a lot. Like even I'm pretty sure Uncut Gems he's in the Schwitzer room or whatever at one point in it, and you see like a guy's dick in there, and like there's been a bunch of them that, a lot of times it's older men that are just kind of taking a schwitz, I think. But like, I don't know. I mean, I think that Poor Things did it better, I think, than any movie that we've seen recently. Like, I think it did it more prominently too. Like, a lot of movies just do it for like a quick laugh. Where it's like, oh look,
but like the scene of the trap house, that's all I could think of was that guy crawling around on all fours in Poor Things, because he kind of they look similar. That's all.
It very much reminded me of Eddie Redmayne's performance of Wilkman in Cabaret at the Tony Awards. I was like, "What the fuck is going on in this?" He's crawling around like
one thing that struck me as a little bit terrifying in this movie. She gets snatched out by by Kiki's character Cinderella or whatever, which is great. It's a great name. Like
Cinderella.
She gets snatched out, and the girl says, "Oh, she's not coming back." And it's like such a quick response, like, "Oh, she's not." Like, how often do girls just get kind of snatched out of these houses by either a man that wants to fucking kill them, by a pimp, by somebody that is in a higher stage than them, and they just don't get disappeared, or they get beat, like the shit beat out of them, or they like it's such a terrifying moment to be like, she's so calm about like she's not coming back, and it's like, holy shit, dude. And I also like the guy offering to call the cops. He's like, should I call the cops? And it's like, this is a motel we're using for sex, or like, no, you should not.
I think her storyline is the saddest storyline, and her ending where she's sitting out, she can't even go inside, she's cold and shoeless on Christmas Eve. Like Dinah's storyline is the roughest.
Yeah.
She has some fucking big fat lady that won't let her in. There's such an interesting like use of like, I feel like it's almost a cliche, like a very matronly whorehouse like person, right? Like they leave, like a lot of times there's a woman that's
It's
in
like
charge
the
of
white
whorehouse.
trash version of Della Reese from
But yeah, this version
Harlem Nights.
But this version of it is so white trash that it feels like
Yeah.
extra sad. And she's like, "Hey, can I come in?" And she's like, "You can't even come into the hotel." Like she's gonna have to she's gonna have a streetwalker thing. Like, but then you also, I wonder about like the divvying up between. Well, number one, there's like different, because these are two women of color that are trans. So like trans is already its own, perils on top of being a person of color, and she's white and cis, and it seems like she's allowed into like the house, which is like like everybody in the house. It seems like everyone in the house that I saw was like white. I'm not saying that it's segregated. I'm just saying like it seems like these sections of existence for these people are segregated, right? Like because some of them don't even have a pimp. Some of them are just streetwalking. To streetwalk, like, and some of them have to stay inside like a restaurant, like the one girl, older woman that gets called out of the, I think that's also the one that says drama, who gets called out by the chaser guy in the taxi. She's plying her wares from within, she's trying to stay whatever, like inside of a coffee shop, and she comes out. And in other places it's like
she wants a hamburger.
These girls that are fesh are allowed into like this motel, at least that's warm, like, which I mean I guess it's all warm because it's LA, but like this there's a roof over their head. They're kind of in private. They're not stuck in the car with like some guy that just kind of has to show his dick to show he's not a cop. There's a lot less. I mean, if cops decide to surround it, obviously there's peril, but like it feels a lot less perilous and exposed. There's even the sign that says no prostitute served here. Like if the cops are coming, oh, this is a place they're not serving prostitutes. Which you always have to have that at your fucking at your motel whorehouse. No prostitutes.
I mean that's on my my doormat at my house.
It's just
it does feel segregated, and I think you see that also in the only cisgender streetwalker is that black woman who like maybe was on the wrong street, but again, like you don't see very many white streetwalking sex workers in this.
That woman even has has like the girl that gets off the bus in New York City and is like New York. Like she doesn't seem. The word used feels bad to say about a human being, but like it doesn't seem like she's. Yeah, she seems she's like very chipper. She's like, oh, whatever you want. Like doesn't seem like there's no degradation, I guess, on her like other people that have been in the shit forever that are like, all right, let's get this done. Like $40, you only have 40. I guess I could do this. Like I don't have like. There's just you can see how far people are fucking kind of driven within this world, and then that girl has none of those qualities. It seems like she doesn't even know the fucking where the trans and where the cis streetwalkers go. Like she's like she's new. What are you new in town? But like, I don't know. So like there's that part of it. They found Maya, I guess, like the character that played Alexandria, like. They found her at the LGBTQ center in this area, which that's the first place that they went to. And she was like, they asked her for like, hey, can you help us, scout locations or like, can you help us get around? And then it just happened to be the first person that they really ran into. They're like, this is the person that we're going to cast. And I think both her and the actual like Kiki had been streetwalker type for like at least for certain portions of their lives, and so it's like a very true to life portrait of kind of misery.
Well, I mean, like they didn't, there's a lot not said in this movie, but like, it's hard, unless you're in like an area which is, treats people with respect. It's hard to get jobs whenever you're trans.
Yeah,
especially neighborhood like that.
This is so far down out of the bounds of respect, right? Like it's like on a whole nother level.
There's there's a real intimacy between the characters when you see at the very end that Alexandra gives Cindy her wig. It's like the least that she could do, but it humanizes her, and it's a really rough story to watch, but it is also very, very beautiful in moments. And I think that that's because they themselves came so close to the trauma that they're depicting.
Yeah. Well, and
I
there's
also felt
like
emotional whenever that scene happened too.
well, there's like
it's like, oh,
there's a very beautiful solidarity to it because they've been fighting this whole time over a guy who's number one white, number two like cis, number three like literally has
garbage.
Fucking Cindy to fucking jail because he's like, oh, I can't be caught with this, this teener, this little bit of fucking meth, like, which I only know like that term because of Breaking Bad, but like this teenth of fucking meth, like he's like, you have to take it.
I had to Google it.
She spent time in fucking prison over him, who probably would not get as rough treatment in prison, obviously, as a trans woman of color, right? Like he's just kind of he's like, oh, but I'm doing our business, so you're gonna take the fucking fall for me, which is what these pimps are, right? Like they're parasites. They're sucking the lifeblood out of people that are stuck destitute on the streets. You can say, well, at least in some ways, this person's gonna protect me, but like, look at him. I don't even think he's not even doing that. Like
he's at best like middle management. Like, can you at least keep my schedule?
Like it's almost unbelievable that like the much more she kind of dominates the guy the entire time in his drug shack or whatever. But like there's the much stronger black guy that's the drug part of the connection because he's the fucking pimping part of the connection in that room in the back corner behind the thing. And it feels like that guy could definitely take Chester down even. Like, you know what I mean? Like, who knows how he got to be this, this figure. Because he's not a good pimp. Like, it's kind of just a sad figure. And he's probably the most.
He's like someone who just decided to become a pimp one day and thought, hey, I can do this.
I mean, what he probably was.
I have some rap albums. I'm going to become a pimp now.
Yes.
I say that to myself all the time.
It's like little Kev from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, sort of.
What he probably was a drug dealer who then used his bit of charm that you're supposed to believe he has in order to start also pimping, right? Like, I think the drug connection probably came first for that guy, as kind of the guy says that's his business partner. That's like, oh, I don't even believe in that, which I mean, bullshit, but like, I feel like he's probably a drug connect first and pimp second. But because I see KT yawning and I know that she's had surgery, so you want to go to Letterboxd one-liners?
Oh yeah, thanks.
Kristina?
That's my cue. Let's go.
We waited right till you were drinking.
I know. So, Letterboxd is a social media site for film lovers to talk with each other about the movies that they love, maybe the movies that they didn't love, movies that they were excited to mention was filmed on an iPhone. This is all, of course, best expressed succinctly. Everyone gets to have their say, not just the Sissels and Eberts of the world. Everyone gets to chime in and opine in as well. And as this is best done quickly, with these Letterboxd one-liners. So here are the Letterboxd one-liners for Tangerine. This shit just became my new favorite Christmas classic.
This absolutely is a Christmas movie. Let's be honest. Like, we haven't really talked about this, but it's about found family and celebrating with the ones you love. Even the chaser, like, he knew that he wanted to be with the ones he loved for Christmas.
That is, it's sweet. It's sweet that he's about to risk it all to get some girl dick, right?
Also, the picture is just great.
Yeah, I literally was like, I gotta get him somehow looking at the fucking. I love. He's like, this is not for pussy. I love that line. And how Baker has cast that guy in every single one of his movies. He's returning, and he's just a different. It feels like it's almost his version of. I hate to use this fucking reference, but like it's almost his Rob Schneider. Like, this guy just feels like a different ethnicity every movie. He's like, all right, be like or like his, I guess John Turturro also does that for Adam Sandler. Like, he's like, all right, this time you're Armenian. You're Armenian. You don't have to do anything different. But like, he's the owner of the building in the Florida Project too, and he's in well, both he and James Ransone, the pimp, the Chester guy, they're both in Starlet as well.
Oh,
like his movie.
Nice.
Wait until Sean Baker gets the iPhone 11. Hey, I got the iPhone 11.
I wonder
just shot my last short film on an iPhone 12.
Well, this was in 2019. I think that's when the iPhone 11 came out.
Well, he's got one now because they're old.
I don't know. I have to Google that.
I do because I can't afford a new iPhone.
I always go for an old model.
The most 2015 thing, and I'm not even mad about it. Merry fucking Christmas.
Yeah, this feels like it makes up for having to watch The Danish Girl last year.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
This is so much of a better.
Also, too, not for nothing, but you know how people say Die Hard's not a Christmas movie? I wonder how many people are going to debate about this not being a Christmas movie because it takes place in, California.
By the way, it's funny that
so does Die Hard.
Mm-hmm.
It's funny that Eddie Redmayne's Tony's performance was so creepy that it totally overshadowed the fact that Hillary Clinton also was performing at the Tonys.
Wait, what?
Yeah, she was there.
Yeah.
Oh
yeah,
God.
she got she presented something, got a standing ovation. I'm like, God damn.
What did she say?
The importance about the arts or some shit like that.
They just thought she was Meryl Streep or something, like playing a character.
Cinderella is the coolest chosen name I've ever heard.
I don't know. I met someone with a Condoleezza Slice, was a roller derby girl I met, and I think that's a great name.
I've always wanted to, if I ever did drag, I've wanted to do some kind of like Barbara Bush. Like,
no, do a Nancy Reagan and call yourself the Throat Goat.
no, but it's funny that you don't even change it around. Like,
Yeah, although to be fair though, Spinderella exists, so like it's hard to judge. Cinderella.
Sean Baker can shoot this masterpiece on. Sean Baker can shoot this masterpiece on an iPhone 5. Well, I still can't take a photo without my thumb on the lens. We have time. We have a timer setting now. We should be fine.
And it's even using the stabilizing technology, I get really, really nauseous when I watch a movie that is very handheld. There is something to be said for how well they use the steady cams that they had here, because this could have felt incredibly nauseating, and it wasn't.
Yeah, like a found film type situation.
Mm-hmm.
And it feels like a lot of filmmakers have been really, really overusing.
Well, yeah, because of the second Bourne movie, whichever one that was. When Paul Greengrass did the shaky cam thing, which worked because Paul Greengrass knows how to like set a scene even with that shaky cam, and used it as an effect and not as a cover up for shitty choreography and editing.
Yeah, I think that's it. It's been used a lot of times as cover up for that kind of shit. I think that is exactly what it is.
I think you see that in Cloverfield too, that kind of found footage cover up.
Yeah.
I watched Red Rocket, but I hope it was filmed on a Nintendo DS.
I laughed because I read it before you read it to us. That's a great one.
Yeah, kind of. but like also kind of. Like
yeah, me too though.
Like, I don't know what kind of camera do they have on the DS? I don't remember.
It'd be funny if it was like a very nice, like very good camera. Like
you won't believe the shift I had last night. The donut time worker, probably.
Well, she has like a deal with Chester that he's allowed to do his business out of the fucking, which throughout this movie and throughout all of Sean Baker's movies really, but like especially throughout this one, there feels like an impunity to like the businesses you're allowed to do your criminal activity out of. Almost. I mean, until you disrupt it and kick you out.
Yeah. I would love to see a little story, a vignette from her point of view, though.
The girlies
Yeah.
are serving cunt. I mean, that's so true, though.
Yeah.
All right, they're not letting me put one more up, so I got to do this one as a screen share. But this is the last. I need to do this as the last one. Hold on.
Antissa.
Yeah, I don't have a bit.
All right, I don't know why it's not popping up, but it's like it doesn't want me to do that one. Oh wait, there it is.
All that over Chester?
That is literally how I felt when I saw him for the first time. Like, for real, that
I was like, oh, come on! They could have found like a better looking like pimp that's like worth being pimped out to. Like,
looks like I could bitch slap that guy and get away with it.
Mm-hmm. So those are the Letterboxd wine liners for Tangerine. Forrest over there logs our movies and gives little summaries. Jay Andrew, this is a crisp.
Now we have it so that we have the Movie Night Extravaganza account. Isn't
That's
the
what
one
I was talking about.
But it's you behind the keyboard.
No, it's not me behind the keyboard anymore. It's Andy and Conan.
Yeah. Anyway, Jay World, this is a Christmas movie, obviously. Logging the weird stuff that none of us want to watch, but he's been logging a lot of Doctor Who stuff, and not all
Yeah,
of
I'm
them
on the
gems,
Doctor Who
right,
challenge.
Andy?
I'm up to the 6th Doctor.
Good for you. I really should be. I don't know. They don't have House of the Dragon on there yet, but that should be interesting. KT, you're on Letterboxd, right?
Yes, I am on Letterboxd. I'm under movie runtime, so it's pretty easy to find me. I'm logging usually stuff that you're going to see streaming right now on Netflix, although I do randomly shoot back and watch something old or something strange. But no Doctor Who. Sorry, I don't usually do TV on Letterboxd, but I will sometimes do TV on Letterboxd.
Something strange, something blue, and something deranged. You know, that's what
Ooh,
you gotta get.
I like that list. I would watch that list. If that was a Letterboxd list, I'd click on it.
Yeah. And you can find me at Kristina, UHMMKRITICNA. And yeah, I log whenever I feel like it.
I log when I feel like it. All right, so this is a word from our sponsor before we go to the plugs. Tonight's podcast is brought to you by Jebiga, a Balkan Rakia spirit plum brandy that brings Serbia to the American shores in an authentic and appreciative way. Care of Billy Gould, bassist for Faith No More, and Rakia Appreciator. Rakia is a traditional spirit enjoyed at weddings, funerals, and life events. However, more and more it's being enjoyed everywhere on a night out with friends or as a casual drink. Get a bottle today in liquor stores and bars across America. Go to yabiga.com to see where it's available near you. All right, take it away with the plugs.
If you're watching us on YouTube, please do those YouTube things. Like, comment, subscribe, hit that bell. And of course, the big ask is to watch this video to the end. That allows other movie fans to find our content. And that allows you to hear that great song by Conan Neutron, who we're missing right now. Which I don't think we said. He's off recording an album with the band Dead. So
yeah, humble brag.
So cool.
Yes, with yeah. So I was looking at the pictures today. It was awesome. But you know, we do miss him. So shout out to Conan. We're pouring one out for you. If you're over on Twitch, do the Twitch things. Throw us a sub. If you happen to have an Amazon Prime account, you can subscribe for free. Doesn't cost you a penny, but actually helps us out a great deal. So if you can do any of that stuff, all of that stuff, please do. Follow us on social media. You can find us on Twitter, Blue Sky, Facebook, Instagram, Threads, and now TikTok. So find us over there. Say hi. We will respond. We have a Discord as well if you want to, you know, also have fun with us. Yeah, nobody answered my question the second one. People were really into the whole Dorothy Gale, and maybe I went too obscure with who'd win.
They say what, you don't strike lightning twice or whatever.
Yeah. You know, well, you know,
don't I know it?
Try again. I'll do another question in there and see what happens. But yeah, we got a lot of great people in there, and I'd love it if you could join us there as well. Like I said, Conan's out, but you know, find Conan's stuff, whatever. He's not here. No, But yeah, support him if you can.
We have
and
we have both his Bandcamp and his Patreon in the show description.
yes, so please go there, check it out. Check out his music because it really is great. Kristina, you're down in the corner. You've been holding it together for us with the Letterboxd one-liners, and you've been streaming a lot lately too.
Yeah, I think my mom's kind of depressed, so we haven't worked a whole lot, and therefore we don't have money. Therefore, shit kind of sucks right now, but it is what it is.
Yeah, but if your mom was feeling real happy and she's like, let's go clean all these houses, you'd be like, yeah, it kind of sucks. We got to clean all these houses.
I just want to be given money. Like, I just want to do as little as possible and make more money because I'm doing a lot when I'm working and make none. So it's like, whatever. What am I doing with my life?
So the best way to do that is Patreon, right?
Yeah, for as little as $1. If you're someone who's like, oh, I watch your Twitch streams, but I can't shell out the $4.99 or $5.99 or whatever the hell it costs to pay for Twitch subs, just subscribe to my Patreon for $1. It's Cosmo Politics. You'll be fine.
Yeah, and that will help out Kristina as well. Are you still doing the coffee, by the way?
No, but I do have a Throne wish list. Throne.com/cosmopolitics. If you want to help buy me new PC parts,
Game of Thrones.
that'd be great. There we go.
I like the idea. It's like, because Game of Thrones is like, well, there's multiple thrones everybody's fighting over, but it's like, what about Game of Thrones? Like,
wait, multiple? Andy, that's not true. It's one throne, the Iron Throne.
Yes.
All right, then why is it Game of Thrones? I've never watched it.
You point out a very good question. Why is it not Games of Thrones?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of games of fighting, but one damn throne.
Game of Thrones sounds like musical chairs. This is what it sounds
it's
like.
like what Olay said. She's like, she Olay, because Olay and I kind of been talking about House of the Dragon because she's Team Black like me. And Olay's like, we get it. We call it House of Dragons, not House of the Dragon. And I'm like, okay, that makes sense.
Well, House of Dragon sounds good. It sounds like, your crest of arms is a dragon. But House of the Dragon sounds like there's one dragon, and you're like, what am I, dragging your balls across my face? What's going on here?
Now, Houses of the Dragons, though.
Then what is that? A dragon project? You're like, this is affordable housing for dragons, section D.
It's a new Jimmy Carter project.
Yeah. So George, I know you're listening to us right now. Take notes, please.
The Dragon Project. It's like the Florida Project, but all of the entire motel system is owned by the dragons.
It would wind up being more like Miami Project.
So KT, you just had Scott Tunderman on to talk about Ice Pirates, which is one of my favorite movies as a kid.
I am not surprised at all. If all the people I knew you would know Ice Pirates. That is
saw it in the
crazy
theater.
ride. Yeah, of course you did.
Ice Pirates could have been the name of this movie. They're smoking meth. Yeah.
Yeah.
She snatches the meth from the fucking hoe.
Yes. I did have Scott on, and we talked about Ice Pirates, which was a film that I had not yet seen because he came on episode 1 and watched So I Married an Axe Murderer. So it was in good faith. Now it was my turn to watch something that I didn't think I wanted to watch because I kept mistaking it for a different film, which it is not.
It's not good, but it's way better than it needs to be, and it's really funny.
And it's a really, really interesting deep dive into the concept of budgeting and what goes into making something, because it was supposed to be a completely different film by the guy who wrote Crawl and have $20 million, and it wound up getting cut down to 8, and you wind up with what we have. And this is all covered in the episodes. If you're finding yourself intrigued by this conversation, tune on to that episode.
And also, what's his name? Bruce Valanche, as like the guy on the world with all the dry ice and smoke everywhere, and the barbarian bikini women. I mean,
and you get a pimp robot who's voiced by the very first person to do the voice for Audrey 2 in the musical on Broadway.
And of course, you got Ron Perlman and Angelica Houston, and of course, Sloth from Goonies is in it as well.
John Matsoukas. Yep. All of this stuff and more. Tune on into this episode. It's an exciting one to cover, even though it's a strange movie.
It is a strange movie. It's great though.
I'm imagining just being like, "Yar, the sea be warmer than expected, and me boat be melting." And it's like, we should not have built this boat out of ice. This was a bad idea.
You know, if you just ship that to space, you're not too far off.
Yeah, it's an insane film. Like just so much happens in it, and it's just like from space herpes to Bruce Valanche's head just like being a thing,
to a machine that castrates people.
Speaking of space, the fact that Star Wars fans are fighting over whether or not fire can happen in space is so fucking weird, considering the fucking Star Wars movies back in the 70s. Never mind. I'm not gonna go. I'm not gonna start that.
I mean, I feel like lightsabers feels like, I mean, it's the source of heat, right? Like, because I mean, you see literally the, like, when they're cutting somebody in half with a lightsaber, there's fire on their body,
like cauterizes them instantly. Yeah.
And who's to say there's not oxygen coming out where the fire is? Never mind. Let's go on to movie runtime on TikTok.
Yes. So you can hear me talk about stuff, facts about movies, reviews of recent stuff, following me on TikTok again at Movie Runtime. If you don't like TikTok, you can follow me on Instagram at Little Deadly Creature. If you don't like Instagram, you can follow me on YouTube at Movie Runtime. And all of these get iterated through the same damn machine, so you'll wind up with that content. Although TikTok gets it and gets most of it, because I get lazy posting it to YouTube by the end.
Yeah.
I mean, it's hard for me to remember to post something.
It's hard. It's too much shit.
Yes. And you just had a film show at the Just Scare Me Film Collective, which is you can watch on YouTube, called We Have Ghosts at Home.
Yeah, we have ghosts at home. To be read like the turn of phrase, we have food at home. Where, like, you know, you want to eat out and your mom's like, we have food at home, but the quality of food at home, you're like, no, I fucking want to eat out. And would you believe this? I filmed it on an iPhone, so you should watch it. Yeah.
I love
but it looks great. It really does. It's a fun movie, and I can't wait to watch it again.
I love that trend of, like, we have blank at home. It's like, it's almost like, oh, we have Bernie Sanders at home, and it's like Elizabeth Warren.
I know. It's such a fun thing.
No
so it's my
Chomsky at home.
Because he's not dead yet. So it was my first time trying to do a horror film that was a comedy. So if you're not usually into my stuff, if you've seen my 35-minute horror film and you're like, ooh, this is 5 minutes long, as per the Just Scare Me rules, and it is deeply comedic, and it is just kind of a run on that we have food at home concept, about how you can often be looking for something you have at home. Yeah, thank you. And
I don't remember if they still do it. I think it was like the channel that's now Chiller or something on cable. The one that's
Shutter.
Shutter's the app, right?
It's also
all right. Well, maybe there used to be like a Chiller or something. This like the horror movie channel they tried starting for a little while. They used to do one where you could send in a 5-minute, you'd send in like a 5 to 10 minute movie, and then they if it won, it like they put it on cable or whatever. Which when I was like 10, I sent one in and they didn't put it on cable. But you know, I was excited. I was like watching I was at my friend's house watching cable, and I was like, "Come on, you're gonna show me on TV. Come on."
It's like cool. When my parents, when my mom got into a car accident, went to court. I didn't realize there were other courts, so I just thought she was going to go on People's Court. So when my parents were at the courthouse, I'm watching People's Court, thinking my parents are going to come on.
I probably would have done better at People's Court. I mean, shit, Jesus. Yeah. So are we?
I do think we should talk a little bit about Starwell Foundation, which we haven't yet.
Oh shit! Yes. So Starwell Foundation, it's in season 2. You can listen to it on all of the audio podcast stuff available. I play a couple of different characters. I'm actually going to try and play a couple of different characters in season 3, which we're recording right now, so you can know that it's greenlit for season 3 and so much more. So it's fun. You probably heard me talk about it. The quick pitch is it's about a person who is trying to get villains to meet sick and needy children to help them do charity work, but the bad guys are the bad guys, maybe, or maybe the good guys are the bad guys.
They do other storylines that aren't like Starwell Foundation's one. Do they have other? Because it's a broader podcast, right? Like, do they have other?
Opinions?
Yeah.
Opinions May Vary is actually retired. So they did 10 and a half years of episodes twice every month. For a while, they were doing one every week for the first 7 years. And that was based on talking to different comic book artists and filmmakers just about the stuff that they were doing. And then this is their scripted drama. This is what they're doing now that they've retired.
You should try to prod them to have multiple scripted dramas going at once. Like, that would be fucking dope. Like, you know what I mean? You have like Star Wars Foundation, then you have someone else you like, you know, send it out to do like a script, and then they do like you have all these different ones together. I feel like that would help.
I was in Alex's house, and he has a he has a cork board with all of these post-it notes on it of all the different plot lines that happen in Starwell to make sure that they continue through and where they're going. So it is complicated enough with one. I can't imagine two.
No, that's yeah.
Or
I've heard like a little bit of it, and I've heard a bit of it.
Yeah,
but I don't know. It's hard to
Are
like.
you trying to write something for us? You trying to pitch something?
Radio dramas are kind of the same. It's like the new version of that, right? Like when I was a kid, I used to really like mystery radio dramas that have like you could almost imagine like the person sitting there being like, you know, like doing the da 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 like the intro, and then the next person was like like they do the Foley sound type things, which I don't know. I remember in college doing like Foley sounds and having so much fun with that, like being like, I gotta find something that sounds like somebody's walking, and then putting my hand into like a thing and being like
it is fun.
You know, I did a live one 15 years ago, and it was a blast. I got to play a Nazi.
And it wasn't very hard to act out. No.
Yeah, no, I had the German accent ready to go.
I'm goose stepping here. Oh, I'm a New York City Nazi. Oh, I'm goose stepping here. Whoa, what are you doing? Like, there's like a Volkswagen that gets in your way. Oh, I'm goose stepping here. You know.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pitching my characters right now.
Okay, go do it. No, yeah. So you've got half of your Sean Baker story. We just need the location that this guy's at. And then we have to have him find another person, and this script writes its fucking self.
A Nazi sex worker.
I was gonna say this was the Nazi donut shop.
Mm-hmm. Nazi soup shop. What is he looking for? Who's the person he's looking for, though?
Hitler, of course.
His trad wife.
He's hunting down Hitler. His trad wife's like, you're leaving the kids at home. You're leaving the kids at home. You never tend to the kids. And he's like, I have to find Hitler. You know?
All right, guys. Everybody listening, don't steal this. This is copyrighted material.
Yes. Someone's like, God damn it.
God, already the keys are hot.
But don't steal it like Nazi gold. KT, do you have any final thoughts?
I think that this movie is something that you could easily overlook just by thinking like, oh, it's on an iPhone. It's a Sundance movie. It's about sex workers. It is so compelling, so well paced, and so refreshing. It's easy to watch, and it was really, really fun. So if you have not seen it, you should definitely watch it.
The perfect time limit for a movie. Like more movies should be this amount of time.
Exactly.
They're all fucking 2 hours. Which after this movie, Sean Baker graduated to every one of his movies is 2 hours or more. Which is like, come on, man, you could have done something great here. I think that every one of his movies is about a sex worker of some kind.
Yeah, literally his whole
Or
Wikipedia page
marginalized
has like his themes. Like, oh, he usually deals with like sex workers, and also he's for decriminalization. I'm like, nice.
Yeah. Oh, I was kind of Florida Project kind of made me feel like there's some kind of underclass ideological component in some way that's like something kind of felt the socialist brain in me was like, there's something here that I'm maybe not like fully vibing with, but I just sat with it and enjoyed it instead. Nice. The actress that he put in the front of it is Latvian, which is kind of crazy, or Lithuanian or something. She's not. She's from like Lithuania, I think, originally.
Did you say the country where Dr. Doom is president of?
Huh?
Latveria?
No, I said Latvia or Lithuania. I think it's Lithuania. She's like a Lithuanian American actress. which you can't hear whatever the I don't know what. I mean, maybe that's just her accent. Maybe that's the Lithuanian accent. It's the only other place that has an American accent. But Kristina, final thoughts.
This is going to be a future Christmas classic, without a doubt.
Just like Die Hard.
Mm-hmm. Because
Andy?
again, the guy who wrote Die Hard says it's a Christmas movie. Don't try to debate him on that.
This is a Christmas movie too. Andy, final thoughts.
Oh, we did not really delve into enough about how beautiful this movie looks with the colors.
We can delve into it now.
No, cut him off. Cut his mic.
But this really is truly a stunning movie. It kind of breaks the rules of like establishing where the characters are and just throws you right in, which works because honestly, like it is very hard to initially like Cindy, but it is truly her movie because she just you feel for her by the end of it. I mean, like by the time she's smoking meth with the white chick in the bathroom, like you're just cheering. You're just like, oh, look, she made a friend.
A friend that
you're
isn't
happy
gonna,
for her.
a friend that isn't gonna betray her, like Alexandria betrayed her. And,
Yeah.
The ideas of like monogamy in this are very like y'all are sex workers. Like the idea of what's cheating and what's not is very murky, which is the point, obviously. But like, there's
almost
no.
I was going to say almost. So die.
No, go.
It feels very Christmassy. Like it's like a wish. This want to be married to your pimp, and it's almost like LA at Christmas isn't even real. This wish that they have at the end, the happy ending you're supposed to root for, feels like, yeah, it's a Christmas movie because we want this heteronormative ending for these characters. I don't know. It's very
and it's like a
strange.
chosen family too. So like it's truly like an LGBTQ Christmas because a lot of times, you don't spend it with your biological family, you spend it with your chosen family. And is this chosen family dysfunctional as hell? Oh yeah, completely. These people are messed up, but it doesn't matter. They're still humans. And the thing is this movie pierces their humanity, and you really get to see that for all the good and for all the bad that is. Whether it's Alexander's dream of being being a singer, which is kind of heartbreaking, that whole storyline. I mean, it really is. None of her friends showed up for her performance except for Cindy.
It's Christmas Eve too, right? Like, it's
yeah.
Like the hard. I mean, I'm not to take the side of it, but it's like the hardest day to get people to show up for.
Yes.
To a bar to listen to you say like.
For a movie that's supposed to be billed as a comedy and is very funny, definitely is very funny, it is so deeply tragic.
Yeah. There's so much heart to this though. Like, and it really, if you start watching it and they throw you into the deep end, and they do that on purpose, like it works. But they throw you into the deep end. You don't know how where the characters are sitting in relationship to each other, until the very end of that scene. You don't know where they are. You don't know who they are, but they're telling you everything that you need to know. And
it seems almost like they start and end of the donut shop. They don't, but like just the space that they're using in that first scene.
Yeah, it really works. It just
like, oh, I only got one donut. It's like a full circle, like a donut, right? Like
exactly. And there's no holes in this movie, unlike donuts.
Well, there is
glory holes.
There's some holes in this movie.
Well, we never saw any glory holes in this movie, did we? I don't recall any.
You walnuts.
This track is not for holes. This track is not for holes. The color thing is interesting before we end it, because I feel like there's a thing called at least that I in my head is A24 color, which this movie obviously is not. This movie is a very a vivid 2015 style music video color almost in a way. That's what the editing kind of brings you into. But Red Rocket kind of takes the same kind of color ideas, I think, to some degree from this, and then does the A24 style color where it's a guy under a green light fucking taking along fucking Spring Breakers style fucking hit of a joint and I don't know, like there's a very, it's like a fusion of those two things, like A24 style and this.
Yeah.
His
Also, but
how
they
big is
used it.
aesthetic?
The way they used the colors too was very similar. How like this is the only example I can think of off the top of my head is the Hawkeye series that Matt Hollingsworth colored as David Aja was the artist. It's a beautiful book, just completely aesthetically. It's a great read too, by the way. It's better than that Hawkeye series we got on Disney, but they stole a few elements from there and claimed it's based on it. It's like no, this is a far superior product. But the thing is what Hollingsworth did is he kept it fairly monochromatic, except for like one color motif. And when they changed scenes, the next scene would have that one color motif that was in there be the dominant color, and he'd introduce a new color motif, throughout the page, which also helps lead your eye through it. And I don't think this is, because this is not a comic book, it's not presented in the same way. But the thoughts of colors is much the same way of like creating scenes. So like where one scene is because of the way the color is. Where a different scene is. You're in a different place. You've changed locations because the color grading, did a beautiful job changing its location too. And I am looking forward to doing a rewatch at some point, probably at Christmas, to sit there and to really fully appreciate what these how they use these color gradients, which I don't think.
To me, it felt like in the early 2010s, mid 2010s, there was kind of I'm sure it's not an official movement, but as kind of YouTube got bigger and as like this online kind of, it became a lot easier to make your own videos. It becomes a lot easier to make your own music videos. It felt like a very purposely, I think, amateurish style of music video shooting came around with a lot of bright colors, a lot of quick editing, a lot of purposely kind of making these videos look like something you'd find online, because they realize, well, you don't need to get a guy for, you don't need to get some famous artist to shoot your video. You can kind of shoot your own video and then come up with something cool for it. And like a very indie kind of style of online filmmaking, it felt like they used those same kind of color gradients to me. Like it was like watching a fucking house music or like techno music video from that era.
But it was also smartly used in the aid of storytelling, which is why I was bringing it back to Hawkeye.
Well, I mean, of course, but I'm saying like that style of overly saturated colors kind of remaining the same, colors kind of blending together in that way. Like I just in my head, like the first thing I was thinking of is like, this feels like a music video from this time. I mean, used in the effort for storytelling, of course, but like just that style of like, we're just going to make something, right? Like we're not going to wait for big Hollywood to greenlight a script and then give us a bunch of money. We don't need to do that anymore. We can kind of just create.
It does have that kind of guerrilla filmmaking that I don't think I'd seen since Clerks.
Yeah.
In a way that worked and didn't feel like gimmicky. So yes, I definitely agree with what you're saying there.
Which interesting, I think Clerks 2, I mean, it was 2006 or whatever, but it used a lot of interesting, like overly saturated color too. Like the second Clerks, when they were trying to figure out what to do with like a bigger budget, there's a lot of very saturated bright colors. I mean, a little bit different than, the original Clerks, but like when you're looking for something different. Yeah. But I think you're right with that style of like film.
You gotta poop.
Film gradient. But we can cut it off there to so your cat can poop. So
the dog.
Oh, so your dog can poop. I just saw a tail.
Yeah.
Just assumed. Did
that look like a cat tail to you? You think the cat's this tall?
Listen, he doesn't see species.
Yeah, I don't see. You say I don't.
What does that look like? What does that look like? Does that look like a cat?
Jeez, a really tall cat you have.
Their tail that was up kind of like a cat's. Yeah, I could see it being a cat, a bobcat. You have a lynx. You're watching a lynx. All right, let's leave it there. I've been in this fucking hot room for so long.
Yeah.
They've been keeping me hostage. They said if I don't do 10 more movie night intros, they're gonna. Who's they? I don't know. I'm not allowed to say that.